Imagine a world vastly different from our own, a world where the landscapes we know have been altered beyond recognition. Antarctica, once a continent of ice and snow, is now a barren land, stripped of its icy armor and left exposed to the harsh elements. The South Pole, once a symbol of icy desolation, is now a lonely marker in a vast cold sea, a testament to the dramatic changes our planet has undergone. The planet's ice reserves, locked away for millennia, have surrendered to the relentless advance of human-induced climate change, melting at an unprecedented rate. This is not a scene from a science fiction film, it is the potential reality we face if we fail to address the urgent crisis of global warming. The stakes have never been higher. The consequences of such a drastic transformation would be felt in every corner of the globe, reshaping coastlines, disrupting weather patterns, and fundamentally altering life as we know it. The impact would be profound and far-reaching. The world as we know it would be unrecognizable, with familiar places transformed into something alien and unfamiliar. Coastal cities, once vibrant hubs of human activity, would be swallowed by the rising tides, their streets and buildings submerged beneath the relentless waves. Iconic landmarks, symbols of our cultural heritage, would vanish beneath the waves, their absence a stark reminder of the power of nature unleashed and the fragility of human achievement. Millions, perhaps billions of people would be displaced from their homes, forced to migrate inland as refugees of a changing climate, seeking safety and stability in an increasingly unstable world. The delicate balance of nature, already strained by human activity, would be thrown into disarray with unpredictable and potentially catastrophic consequences for the planet's ecosystems. Wildlife would struggle to adapt, and many species could face extinction. The melting of Antarctica's ice sheet would be more than just a physical change, it would be a global tragedy, a stark testament to the consequences of our inaction. The loss of such a vast and ancient ice reserve would have profound implications for sea levels and global climate patterns. It would serve as a constant reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet and the urgent need for collective action to address the root causes of climate change. We must recognize that our actions have far-reaching effects and that we are all in this together. The fate of our planet and of generations to come hangs in the balance. The choices we make today will determine the world our children and grandchildren inherit. The time to act is now before it is too late. We must come together to implement sustainable solutions, reduce our carbon footprint, and protect our planet for future generations. The future is in our hands. The most immediate and visible impact of a complete Antarctic ice melt would be the dramatic rise in global sea levels, an event that would reshape our planet in unimaginable ways. Scientists estimate that this single event could raise sea levels by a staggering 58 to 70 meters, a rise that would have catastrophic consequences for coastal communities worldwide. To put this into perspective, imagine entire cities, even countries, disappearing beneath the waves, their infrastructures and histories lost forever to the ocean. Low-lying coastal areas, home to a significant portion of the world's population, would be inundated, their inhabitants forced to flee, leaving behind their homes and livelihoods. Florida, Bangladesh, the Netherlands, and vast swathes of Southeast Asia would be lost to the rising tides, their landscapes irrevocably altered. Iconic cities like London, New York, Shanghai, and Tokyo would become modern-day Atlantises. Their once bustling streets transformed into underwater ruins, silent witnesses to the power of nature. The world map, as we know it, would be redrawn, with coastlines shifting hundreds of miles inland, creating new geographical realities. This would be a global crisis of unprecedented scale, demanding a coordinated international response, with nations coming together to address the monumental challenges posed by such a dramatic transformation of our world. The melting of Antarctica's ice would not just impact sea levels, it would also trigger a cascade of changes in the world's oceans, disrupting delicate marine ecosystems and altering global weather patterns. The influx of massive amounts of fresh water from the melting ice sheet would decrease the ocean's salinity, disrupting the delicate balance that drives ocean currents. These currents, like the Gulf Stream, play a vital role in regulating global temperatures, distributing heat from the tropics to the poles. Changes in ocean salinity and temperature would also have a profound impact on marine life. Many species, adapted to specific conditions, would struggle to survive in the altered environment. Coral reefs, already under threat from climate change, would face further devastation, with potentially catastrophic consequences for the biodiversity of our oceans. The human cost of a complete Antarctic ice melt would be immeasurable. Coastal cities, home to billions of people, would be inundated, forcing mass migrations inland. The sheer scale of displacement would be unprecedented in human history, dwarfing previous refugee crises. Competition for dwindling resources, such as food, water, and shelter, would intensify, potentially leading to conflict and social unrest. The strain on infrastructure, economies, and social systems would be immense. Governments would struggle to cope with the scale of the crisis, potentially leading to widespread social breakdown. The very fabric of civilization, built on a foundation of stability and predictability, would be tested to its limits. Section 5. Point of no return, the irreversible tide of melting ice. The melting of the Antarctic ice sheet, particularly the West Antarctic portion, is a process that could reach a point of no return. Once certain thresholds are crossed, the collapse of the ice sheet could become self-sustaining, making it impossible to halt or reverse the melting process. This is because of feedback loops inherent in the climate system. As ice melts, it exposes darker surfaces like ocean water or land, which absorb more heat from the sun. This increased heat absorption further warms the surrounding area, leading to more melting. This vicious cycle can accelerate the rate of ice loss, potentially leading to a runaway collapse of the entire ice sheet. Section 6. Unveiling the uncertain limits of climate prediction. While the overall consequences of a complete Antarctic ice melt are dire, there is still scientific uncertainty about the exact rate of melting, the interplay of various feedback mechanisms, and the precise regional impacts. Current climate models, while sophisticated, have limitations in accurately predicting these complex dynamics. More research is urgently needed to improve our understanding of the Antarctic ice sheet and its sensitivity to climate change. This includes gathering more data on ice thickness, melt rates, and ocean temperatures, as well as developing more sophisticated models that can account for the complex interactions within the climate system. Section 7. The writing on the ice. Evidence of a changing Antarctica. Antarctica, the coldest place on Earth, is undergoing significant changes that are visible from space and on the ground. Despite the uncertainties, the evidence for a changing Antarctica is compelling. The ice is melting at an unprecedented rate, and the landscape is transforming before our eyes. NASA's Grace and Grace. Follow-on satellites, which measure changes in Earth's gravity field, have recorded an average annual ice loss from Antarctica of 150 billion metric tons between 2002 and 2023. This data is crucial for understanding the scale of the problem. This ice loss is primarily driven by increased melting of glaciers and ice shelves, as well as by the calving of icebergs. The consequences of this are far-reaching, affecting global sea levels and ecosystems. The IPCC's AR6 report, the most comprehensive assessment of climate change to date, projects significant sea level rise under various emission scenarios, with contributions from both the melting of glaciers and ice sheets and the thermal expansion of ocean water. This means that coastal communities around the world are at risk. The report highlights the urgent need for action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the worst impacts of climate change. It calls for immediate and sustained efforts to transition to renewable energy sources and to protect our planet for future generations. Section 8. A call to action. Averting a global cataclysm. The potential consequences of a complete Antarctic ice melt are a stark reminder of the urgent need for action on climate change. We have a moral imperative to act not just for ourselves, but for future generations who will inherit the planet we leave behind. The time for complacency is over. The time for bold and decisive action is now. We need to rapidly transition away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and geothermal. We need to invest in energy efficiency measures to reduce our overall energy consumption. And we need to protect and restore our forests, which act as carbon sinks, absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Section 9. Our legacy. our choice shaping the future. The future of our planet hangs in the balance. The choices we make today will determine whether we avert the worst impacts of climate change or bequeath a legacy of environmental catastrophe to future generations. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the resources to address this challenge. What we need now is the political will and the collective determination to act. The melting of Antarctica's ice sheet is a stark warning, but it is also a call to action. Let us heed this warning and work together to create a sustainable future for all. The time for action is now. The fate of our planet and of generations to come depends on it. Please like and subscribe for more content.